Hi there. Today it's me, Instructor Faith, coming your way again as we continue on the personal development teaching series. I want to believe that your day is faring well. And just a quick reminder, we are now looking at healthy living and lifestyle. And we have tend to introduce the concept of learning and how it affects our health. We have seen that, given the exposure to information, we tend to be armed and armed to be able to handle issues of life, especially our health. And so we have looked at social determinants of health. We have seen some of these factors that, though not medical issues, but they largely affect the health of individuals. And today we are going to continue in that light, and we are looking at education today. Education, the access and the quality of education. It has a very great effect on individuals' health. Now, when people are well educated, like we know, then that's the case in the developed nations. You see that they enjoy long life expectancy. But the reverse becomes the case in those locations that suffer uh, good education. Those people who lack access to good education, people like from the Caribbeans, people like from the less developed nations, like in the Africa continent, we see that these people tend to suffer predisposition to health conditions, illnesses, sicknesses, diseases that could have been well handled at the prevention level or stage. You see that because they have a lack of education, they tend to suffer the effects. And at the end of the day, we see that their life expectancy ratio reduces. We see that there's high level of death rate among this populace. So it becomes a concern for us to look at how we, should get involved to make sure that these people have access to quality educations. They have access, and be able to get themselves equipped. Because anybody that is informed, to about 50%, that person is already saved from whatever hazard that he or she can face in life. Imagine you giving someone a notice and he's carrying it in his hand to go and serve it to someone else, not knowing that he's carrying his or her death sentence because he cannot read, because he cannot write. That means that individual is already 50% dead even before arriving at the place where he's supposed to deliver the message. You see what lack of education could cause. Information is all over, and people are well informed in recent times, given the trends in technology, given the trends, in information dissemination. So it is very, very absurd to say that some people are not informed. Now, it boils down to the fact that they lack access to education and quality one at that. That is why it is a concern, especially to me, because I'm an educationist. It's not at this age that people should be suffering from illiteracy. It's not at this age at all. We have long passed it. But what do we have? We still have high level of illiteracy in this part of the world where I come from. And so I'm here to advocate that we should have access to education and quality education at that. Even people who can afford education, they are not still having the quality education. And it's so painful in my heart. People no longer can vouch that their children are educated. Why? Because if you match it pari passu with the trends, you see that we are not there at all. We are not. And so it calls for development in our education sector so that we can have access to up-to-date information using every, gadget available, every, device and whatever it is that is there for us to be able to access quality information. And so that is why I said it's a topic of discussion. And so we want to look at, how this lack of education or inaccessibility to education and lack of poor education quality is causing a great harm to people's health. Take, for example, we have some issues here that I want us to look at, and then you will understand the plight that these people are going through. All right. Now, there are some people who suffer low level education because of some health conditions. People are predisposed to so many health hazards because they cannot learn. Now, this time around, it's nobody's fault actually, but when they come into a learning setting, a school, for example, and we lack, information or understanding of these issues that they are passing through, we tend to name them wrongly. We tend to abandon them. We tend to, put them off. And at the end of the day, matters become worse for these people. And when there's no way to see how we can get them along to have access to information, you see that death is already at their doorstep. But I pray that God will give us understanding. For those of us who are into school management, into school administrations, those of us who are educationists, those of us who are teachers, this is a great call for, concern that we should sit up, we should be up to date with the educational trends. Now, there are some learning difficulties, there are some learning disorders that learners pass through, especially at this young age, that makes them unable to learn. And when these are not properly handled, they are not tackled, they grow with it all through life. And at the end of the day, there's no way such individual can ever be, exposed to education. Now, what causes in access to education? We want to look at factors such as rising cost of education. Education is very expensive, especially in this part of the world, and not every family can acquire that. So because of the cost, many people tend to shy away from educating their children, and those ones are already out of the way, and I don't know how they can access information that will help them to improve on their health status. We also have another cause for inaccess, which is poor quality, giving the rise of the trends and innovations. I've spoken on that, and you know what is obtainable now. We are not there yet in terms of those of us in the African continent and in the less developed nations. We are not there yet, comparing to the developed nations. So we need to boost our education system. Okay, learning disabilities. This is a major issue of concern. People don't have access to education because of learning disabilities. Now, when we know these learning disabilities, I think it will help us to be able to handle these issues with great concern, with great empathy, and see how we can help them to learn. Now, when we talk about learning disabilities, these are disorders that affect the ability to understand or use spoken as well as written communication. They cause inability to engage in logical reasoning, to direct attention or coordinate movements, and all these tend to cause young children not to follow up as they learn with others. And you know one thing, these things are not easily noticed, they are not easily identified, because they usually form from the prenatal stage to the postnatal stage, and as well as the young childhood stage. So these children are not able to really express themselves, and instead of us paying attention, we classify them as olodos in this part of the nation or continent where I'm from. We label them wrongly and we put them aside in the classroom. Because if you are a teacher, I want you to wake up to these things. I want you to be up and doing. See how you can carry all learners, along. If it is that you need to call their parents' attention and the attention of school authorities, and collaborate with so many NGOs that are out there that provide services to help these children, please do your best and see how you can impact these children. Now, what are these learning disabilities? There are quite a number of them, but we have about 7 major ones. And we are looking at dyslexia, we are looking at dysgraphia, we are looking at dyscalculia, we are looking at auditory processing disorder, we are looking at language processing disorder, non-verbal learning disabilities, visual perceptual or visual motor deficit. These are quite a long list of learning disorder which tend to put children off learning. And once you don't get this right at that young age, the individual grows up to become an uneducated individual, and I don't think we like that. And so I'll be continuing on this aspect of the social determinants of health in the next video, and we'll look at each of these learning disorders and we'll see how we can help these children. Now, remember, I'm Instructor Faith coming your way, and it's a privilege for me. I know we're going to have this as a very interesting topic by God's grace. Now, remember that God believes in you. I believe in you. Believe in yourself. Till we meet next class, please stay blessed.